Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the Era 3 Western Alliance Premium Tank Destroyer, the CATTB Thumper. Now this is a tank you can get for free in the Season Pass, and it's a pretty damn good tank in Era 3 because its gun has absolutely amazing penetration with 854, it's got 700 alpha with a decent reload, and it's got, well, it's just like all the other MBTs where they've got really good mobility. Its armour's okay, but it's not brilliant. It gets penned by a lot of tanks you're going to face, like the Leopard 2A5s, M1A2s, and yourself, generally. But its role is just to be supporting and keep working people over with this fairly high alpha damage gun in the era. It is basically an M1 Abrams, but with, well, it is the M1 Abrams, but as a test bed for the 140mm gun that they were trialing for the tank. And yeah, it's a really solid tank. Let's say for free, everyone is going to enjoy it. I mean, most people already have it because, well, as you'll see by matchmaking in Era 3, it's pretty much weasels and thumpers out there these days. And yeah, I think it's a pretty solid Era 3 tank destroyer if you enjoy Era 3. And you can make an absolute butt ton of credits with it, which is also a joyous thing for anyone that needs credits. And yeah, I've had a pretty decent amount of fun with it. I've had some pretty decent games, which you can see in this video. So yeah, what do I run in terms of a crew on the old Thumperino? Well, I run the same crew that I run in the MBT-70, and that is a Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Deadeye, Track Mechanic, Clutch Braking, and off-road, not off-road driving, Controlled Impact. Now, this is a crew that, well, this is due to the fact that I don't have many crews for Cold War generally set up, and I use the same crew in this tank as in the MBT-70 because it would be just as effective. But, naturally, I have Deadeye, by the way, for the memes. I would probably get rid of Controlled Impact, if I was specifically for this tank, to put a Snapshot on. Because the gun on this tank is really nice, and this tank is pretty much all about the gun. But I want to make it as good as humanly possible, because like I say, it is all about the gun, and I want to make the gun great. That's why we have Steady Aim and Run and Gun. Clutch Braking, just to keep my tracks, just to give me that traverse speed to traverse for stuff like the weasels that you've seen running around like lunatics, so that if, you know, someone like that is trying to get up behind me and launch a missile at me, I can sort of traverse and get ready for it at any point. But yeah, you could get rid of Controlled Impact, but it is still pretty good at ramming because it is an M1 Abrams, and the M1 Abrams is pretty decent at ramming, and Controlled Impact can still be pretty decent for that, right? It gets a good speed going, it's pretty heavy, and it does some good ramming damage. See, I mean, it's a pretty memey crew. You could run what you want on it. In terms of equipment, I do run rammer, GLD, and vents. Vents to give me tank that all-round performance. The GLD, because this tank actually has a 2.5 aim time, a 2.5 second aim time, which is, for Era 3, pretty damn slow. Most of the tanks at Era 3 are pushing below 2 seconds on their aim time, so I want to get this gun aimed in as quickly as I possibly can. So having the vents, having the GLD, that gets me below 2 seconds aim time, and yeah, that's where I want to be with this tank's aim time, really, realistically, and it makes the gun mean that it's aiming in really quickly. That's one thing I found when I was playing the Thumper first time round without the GLD, because I didn't run it. I was finding that it was just taking a little bit too long for the reaction time that you need to have, really, in Era 3, and it was just taking that little bit too long. I have found that the gun is also a little bit derpy at times, so sometimes it loves those fully aimed misses that you sit there going, how did you miss that? But the 700 damage that it hit people for is pretty damn satisfying, to be honest, in the Thumper. It's pretty nice. When, say, they're hitting you for like 400 or 500, you're hitting them for 700, and then getting the high rolls, possibly even for 800. You're like, yeah, baby, I'll take that. So in this game, on Nom and Nom, we've managed to get 6.7k damage with 2k assistance. We've got a kill on the Batash that came in on us. And now we're going after this M1A2. We're just going to auto-aim and try and get a shot into him on the move, because I was thinking he was probably going to die quite quickly. But unfortunately, as we came over there, the gun bounced up, which meant we missed the shot on the M1A2. But we do get a nice little ram on him. We basically didn't lose much at all. We did 308 damage. That's where the Controlled Impact is nice. For those Mimi rams where you do get a decent amount of ramming damage on it, you don't take as much yourself. Nice shot into the BMP3, and like I say, this is just where the damage is nice, right? When you're slapping people consistently for the 650, 700 damage, you really feel like you're starting to take away the hit points. And to be honest, for me, it's a little bit nicer playing this tank than it is playing all the other cookie cutter guns where they're like firing really quickly, really accurate, but fire for like 500 damage. And we managed to shut down the old BMP3 there. The poor guy who is as big as a house and really easy to hit as a light tank. And we've shut down our 4th kill, putting us on 9.8k damage. We just come over, oh, and unfortunately bounce on the back end there of the M1A2. Really weird bounce, but that tends to happen in Era 3. And now we're coming after this Thumper. We're just going to make sure the gun's aimed in. And unfortunately, we aimed for the side and ended up hitting the front there. Because we aimed a little bit too much to the left, or hesitated a little bit too much. So we bounced. But we managed to get the kill shot on that Thumper and shut him down for the 5th kill of the game. We'll finish with the victory. 5 kills, 10,400 damage, 2k assistance, a nice buttload of credits. Ace Tanker, 1,617 base XP. A nice game for the Thumper. Pretty decent game for an Era 3 tank. And yeah, I'll say it does what Era 3 tanks do. It drives forward very quickly. It keeps working people over with its gun. And yeah, you can have a good buttload of fun with it. And like I see at the minute, because it's been given away for free, they're everywhere. This game has got so many Thumpers, and it's just the way it is, especially in Era 3 where there's not as many tanks knocking about in general. Whenever there's something free like this, it tends to flood the ecosystem, and just there's so many of them, you just see them all. But I say the penetration on this tank is what is absolutely filthy about it, realistically, because 854 pen on this gun is the highest in the era. It's got the highest pen on the era for a non-ATGM tank, because I think the Weasel's 1,000 on its premium round, but it's an ATGM, so yeah, for a non-ATGM tank, that's pretty damn high. You can pen most tanks in Era 3 frontally, which is quite nice. You may get, obviously, the odd bounce. Well, you will get the odd bounce here and there because of random, just spaced armor, ERA, all that sort of good stuff. So you're not always guaranteed to go through. But the thing is, like, say if you're a poor old MBT-70, or if you're the standard round of a 2A5, or a standard round of a Challenger, etc., you're not always going to go through the front of yourself, essentially, whereas this has that chance to go through. I mean, I have penned the front of 2A5s with this tank, and you're sitting there going, that's probably the most heavily armoured tank in this era. And you just pen it, and you go, well, that's nice. And you pen weird angles like that on the T-72B as well, although that's not the most heavily well-armoured of the Era 3 Russians. But just having that penetration is absolutely lovely. And like I say, you do have a little bit of armour. You have enough armour that you can bounce the odd shot here and there, but you don't try and rely on it, because it starts to get ripped into very, very quickly, especially when all you have to do is poke to try and get a shot at someone, and basically everyone will, most of the time, always hit you on the move, which is really annoying. So we poke up there to get a shot into the Thumper over in the distance, which puts us up to near 3k damage. And these guys are pushing quite aggressively. We're probably using the wrong ridgeline there. Oh, the destructible cover actually takes the shot as well. We're using the wrong bit of the ridgeline. We're overexposing ourselves far too much there on that rock. We should have actually gone a little bit more to the right, and we're correcting ourselves long after we have lost most of our hit points doing the stupid thing. But we do get a nice shot into the Thumper. The Leopard's also pushing, and I was expecting these guys to be really aggressive, because that's generally what that Thumper there is doing, that you're seeing here. That's what always happens in Era 3. Always. There's always people that just go cruise control and then run. And if you're the target of that person doing it, you tend to lose most of your hit points, unfortunately. It's one of the really annoying things in Era 3, because of the speed and armor and stuff like that. If someone chooses you, and say you're in a Type 59D, for example, and I dislike that tank because it just struggles in this era so much. If you're in something like a Type 59D, there's not much you can do against it, because you can't really pen them that reliably, and then they just sit there going, haha, I pen you every time, ram, you know? It happens a lot in Era 3. It's just one of the frustrations in this era where people do full send all the time. But it's not happening in this game, which is quite nice. And except for that first Thumper, we're managing to actually hold a position and keep pummeling shots in. And we're just being a nuisance. We're being a thorn in these guys' side, right? We're just keeping the pressure up on them, supporting our team as we're doing it, to try and keep them from overextending into attacking them. Now this 2A5 is looking at me at the minute. I'm thinking, oh, I'll chance a shot. He misses, I miss. That angle was possibly never going to ever pen a 2A5. We had to really get the lower plate in a vain hope that we might get him. We were just looking into the distance to see if that other Thumper that was over there was there, but he's not. This MBT-70 is so coming for me. It's like, nope, I don't like that. Notice there's 2 heavies there, but they can't get me, and the MBT-70 just ignores me and kills an M1A2, and it's like, well, okay, Mr. MBT-70, you don't really have the pen to go through me unless I give you my side, so this is where you're going to struggle, because his 400 pen is sad. We get another shot into him there, and he gets shut down. We're up to 10k damage so far, which is good going. And we've got 1,200 assistance. And we're just looking for more shots on people here, and trying to, again, keep supporting as much as we possibly can. We get another shot into the Thumper, who then starts obviously looking at us. We poke over, get another shot in. Fortunately enough for me, he misses, because, well, most people don't tend to miss in this era, just because of how accurate the guns are. But there's nothing really looking at us, so it's like, well, let's come over and get some cheeky shots into this 2A5. We get a nice shot into him, and then it's all of a sudden, there's a Thumper behind me. It's like, hang on a minute, what? Where did you come from? Oh, it's because the whole team's gone behind me. Right, okay. We drop off, back off, get away from this Thumper, and we're just going to keep ourselves into the rocks now, because we're a one-shot for this guy. So every time he fires is when we're going to poke out to get shots into him. So we get a nice shot in to track him there, which is what we're going to have to keep trying to do, because every shot we're going to pump into him, we're going to have to try and immobilize him so that he can't come back for me. He ends up missing us there, and we're just going to try and get a shot into his turret, but it doesn't quite happen. I wish I hadn't shot at him. I wish I'd gone through the BMP3. But then one tank is spotted behind us, and the whole team rushes towards it, and I can't get isolated in that position. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to get round this corner, get safe. And unfortunately, the 2A5 shuts us down. Because the whole team went round the rock for that one tank, I couldn't stay there because that Thumper and BMP3 might just YOLO me. But unfortunately, we just got shut down. But we do finish the game with the ace tanker, the nearly 14,000 damage, 1,153 base XP, 1,153 assistance, sorry, with 1,581 base XP. A really great game for the Thumper in Era 3. It's a really, really solid tank, and it will do most people very, very well because the gun is really nice. Let's say the penetration is absolutely fantastic, and it makes an absolute bucket load of credits. And it's pretty easy to do well with it. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!